Okay. We are live. Hi, everybody.
Hello. We back.
We back. It's not popping up yet on YouTube, but the lag time.
It is now.
Sweet. Hi, y'all. Hey, alchemists. Welcome back to Sunday Night Raw with myself, Queen Midas Life Alchemist, the lovely Liz Olive of the Liz Olive Show. And we have a new special friend with us. He is the first guest on the Sunday Night Live or Raw. Who is it?
It's Tim.
Who is it? Tim! Hi, Tim. Say hi to the people.
Hey, what's up?
Guys, Tim was in our chat. If you didn't know, this is him. This is the Tim that was in the chat last week and the week before. Well, maybe not the week before, but you've been in the chat a few times now.
Yeah.
Tim is the leader of the home group that I go to. And I've talked about plenty of times on my channel. He has his own channel called The Measured Voice. We can link it and all that jazz. But we just thought we would bring him on because he was bringing up some really good topics last time in the chat. He's got great insight and, great conversations with wisdom. So,
oh God, that's quite the setup.
Well, you've lived up to it for all the years I've known you. So
appreciate that.
There you go.
It's fun. Yeah. It's fun.
It is. It's fun. We go to his house and I don't know, how many of us are there in the group? Like
15 maybe.
50, yeah, the 15 of us.
Baby shows up 17.
Yeah. Ava's been there once before. Ava, I think you're frozen. Well, there you go. Yeah, Ava's been there once before when she was in Nashville with me. But yeah, we've been going to your house since 2018, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is almost 5 years actually. It was January.
Yeah.
Look at that.
That's flown by.
It has. But they've also, Tim and his wife, Catherine, have kind of become like surrogate parents in a sense to us and grandparents to my children, me and my husband's children. And
we like it.
Yep. So anyways. Are you there, Ava?
Outside.
Yes. That's his man cave.
I was putting in the chat. Oh.
I think you're like behind or something, Ava.
Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you, but you're on a delay.
So my internet. I'm gonna go out and come back.
You're there. Now you're
or
caught
something.
Up.
Can y'all hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This is weird. As soon as we started, my internet got crazy.
It's like a lag. It's a little bit of a lag.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely behind.
Okay, I don't know if I'm behind or if y'all are behind now.
I think me and Tim are on the same timeline.
I'm talking and then y'all respond way late. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's funny. Okay. I'm going to get out and come back in. Do you think it?
Goodness. Okay.
What?
Hold on. I'm going to text you. Okay, she went out. You get the comments. We see them. I see them. I have YouTube pulled up on the side.
How do you pull them up on the side?
Just go to, I use a different device usually.
Oh, I see.
To be able to see it, like I'll go on to my YouTube channel and look at hers.
Okay. I don't think I need to be listening to Hawk.
There she is.
Okay. Is this better?
I don't know.
No, not better.
Not sure.
Say something. Say something. Yeah, you froze.
Something.
There you go.
Wait, are you caught up now?
This is weird. Okay, y'all.
Man. I'm going to tell her to turn her Wi-Fi off her phone. Technical difficulties. Yeah, Mary Ava's internet definitely is spotty. Oh, Noreen's here. It's Tim. Yes. JR is here. Maya James is here. Let's see. Anybody else? I'm trying to. At least in the chat. Gina's here. Rhonda.
Oh, Keith is here. Am I like on?
I think
Am
you're
I
good
up
now.
to date with y'all? I can't tell.
I think you're good now.
Okay, that was so weird.
Okay. Okay, good. We gotta figure it out, guys. We gotta figure it out.
Sarah. Hi, Denny girl. Hi, Brianna. Noreen, Mary, JR. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Maya, haven't seen you in a while. Okay. Sorry, I interrupted. You were talking about how long. It's never Ava's fault, says JR. Y'all were saying you were talking about your home group.
Oh yeah, we finished talking about it. I just think you missed it.
Oh, this is crazy. Am I okay? I'm getting a sign that my internet's weird again.
I mean,
it's still off.
It seems okay.
Okay, cool.
Right.
So good. I don't know. Do we just want to jump right into stuff?
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. So I watched a very interesting video, which I will go ahead and drop in the chat. What's funny?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Wait, what's funny?
Nothing.
Okay. I'm gonna drop a video in the chat that I watched yesterday, and I want to actually talk about this because I feel like we'll all have a lot to say about it. And it has to do with the Merovingians and like the serpent bloodline and who the Jesus character was.
Interesting.
Really interesting topic, but I just want to see what y'all have to say about it.
Wait, are we supposed to watch this thing?
Did I catch you up? No, I'm just it's called the Holy Grail. So it's talking about like the roots of the Holy Grail. I'm just putting it in here in case people want to watch it. Okay. Oh, hi, Catherine.
Yes.
So Catherine. I took some notes. You know how so Catherine is Tim's wifey. That's wifey poo. Everyone say hi. Hey girl, hey. Okay, so if you were in my Telegram chat last week, you probably saw that I was putting a lot of drops about dragons being found in like a huge lays over Africa and one that lays on the northeast coast of the US, and this huge one over China, like humongous to the size that it could literally be the Ouroboros that wraps around the earth. Like I'm talking, you have to zoom out and you can see this dragon's like the landscape, and it looks like the Chinese dragons in the parades where they're, you know, when they're like dressed as them. It is wild, y'all. But okay, so in this video it talks about the serpent bloodline, and it's saying so that huge one over they Leviathan. So Leviathan is essentially the same thing as the Ouroboros, which is the snake eating its tail that wrapped around the earth. So apparently that the word Levites in the Bible came from, it means the sons of Leviathan. Do y'all know anything about that? Do y'all know anything about Levites?
It was
I don't
the
really know
tribe.
biblical. Yeah, I know that much, but I don't know anything really else about them.
The Levites were also
No?
priests. They were usually the priests that went into the Holy of Holies. Like most of the
Right.
priests came from the Levite line.
Yeah.
Apparently that means the sons of Leviathan. Apparently snake worship is the oldest religion in the world, and it goes across a bunch of cultures. And the Red Cross, so we all know like the blood collection donation company. So the Red Cross, like in the Rosicrucians, and just the symbol Red Cross is a universal sign of serpent too, which is crazy because these blood banks, like if you really dive into them, like who are we getting that blood for? It's really weird. But I want to go back into the Ouroboros, the snake eating its tail. So it's like, it's like a never ending circle. And that's where they got there's, I don't know what it is in whatever language, but it's like the beginning and the end. And they said that's where the Christians borrowed Alpha and Omega from and like applied it to the G character. Like I am the beginning and the end, Alpha and Omega. And it's just really interesting the some between like Christianity and some of these things that are being said. And I'm not saying that one is more right than the other or one is true. I just took notes because I was like, I felt like there were two. I'm going to stop there. Do y'all have anything to say about any of that?
I don't know. I didn't.
Or
there's probably, I know there's like 6 different stories about.
Or I'll ask.
What's that? Are we stuck?
Yep.
About what?
Oh, I know there are about 6 different references to 6 different saviors, and they all sound very similar. And so there's a lot of borrowing from a lot of different religions. I mean, you think about it, Christians borrowed the Christmas tree. They borrowed the rabbit. Yeah. They borrowed all of those things. So there's a lot of stuff like that. That's why it's really important to know the genuine. And you say, well, how do you know he's a genuine? Well, because I know he revealed himself to me when I wasn't looking for him. And here we are 45, 46 years later. He's still been as good now as he was then. And so, yeah, there's a lot of things out there. There's a lot of stuff. But again, man, knowing the genuine, I mean, I don't really worry so much about dragons. My biggest concern is false doctrine in the Christian world.
There's a whole lot of that.
There is. It's really tied up a lot in tradition and culture and not spirit.
Yep, exactly. And I love, I always felt like my kind of journey was always to connect that spiritual and the kind of the Christian world with the spiritual again. Like getting us back to our original intent. But I don't know, like that whole dragon thing is very confusing to me because, I mean, first of all, like dinosaurs, I'm pretty sure were dragons. Pretty sure. I like this whole concept of what dinosaurs are makes no sense to me. And also, I wonder why dragons were so hidden from us. They're like in every other culture, but they're not talked about that much anymore, I feel like. And usually when things are hidden from us is because they have some kind of power and something beneficial for us. So I don't know, man.
Well, that's why I think people are scared of the dark too. And the reason they are is because they don't know how to maneuver in the dark. They don't know what's
The
there.
reason I bring it up.
You're behind a little.
I am.
No, Ava is.
And who are you? Okay. I might get onto my phone internet.
Do it.
Hold on.
What were you saying, Tim?
I was just saying that I think until you acknowledge and recognize that the darkness is actually the Koshak, which is where the mysteries are of the kingdom of God. That's where the mysteries are. That's where all the secrets, that's where all the good stuff is.
Yeah.
And as people are afraid of the dark or the things they can't see, you have to discern before you can see.
Yeah.
Why, I think that's one of the reasons that the scripture talks about believing before you see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Something interesting that Ian Clayton has said is that one reason why people, I'm going to kind of butcher this, but one reason that people are scared of the dark is because there is essentially an entity called the terror that walks by night or something like that. And there's something in all of us that is innately afraid of it. And it's something you pretty much have to deal with and face and confront. And I've done that. And I used to have nightmares as a child because I was afraid of the darkness. And I saw things. And what's funny is I think the darkness actually, if you've ever stared into the darkness, like just stared, you start seeing things. And I think what happens is your internal world projects onto the darkness, essentially. And that's why it's terrifying. So you're essentially afraid of what's inside of you and yourself.
That's what images come from. That's what imagination is. And the image can show forth in the dark, depending on is your imagination at peace or is your imagination fear?
Yeah, exactly. And, but yeah, that the terror that walks by night, I dealt with it at one point a few years ago. And it was like, since then, my spiritual sight was opened way more. And I can walk around in the darkness and know exactly where I am as if the lights are on. It's like something lifted essentially off my eyes. And yeah, I've been able to essentially see the mysteries much deeper.
Yeah, I hated darkness early on in my life. Hated it. I couldn't be alone.
Yeah.
Especially when I was 17, I went and saw The Exorcist.
Oh gosh, that'll do it.
Thing like that. I mean, people were literally running out of the theater. People were throwing up in the aisles.
Oh my gosh.
We were absolutely paralyzed by this thing. And it did exactly what it was intended to do. There was a rock and roll station in St. Louis I used to listen to called KC Radio. Yeah. And they would actually have psychiatrists on, psychologists, and they said, our business has never been better. Please put more of those movies out.
Oh my God. It's terrible.
Yeah.
I know my dad saw Jaws once as a teenager and never went to the ocean again. And I was like, man, that is quite the controlling mechanism there.
Yeah, the 70s was a real release of really not good things in theater. They were traumatic movies in theater. I mean, Apocalypse Now just when you walked away from that movie, you were like, you just felt terrible. Rosemary's Baby.
Oh gosh.
I mean, I was with a date and we drove out of the drive-in and I said, do you feel like really dirty? She goes, yeah. I said, so do I. It was just a really dark time in particularly in my life, because that was my high school years in the early 70s. And so all of these things started manifesting and they literally paralyzed a generation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am. Brianna on here said that there's probably some sort of spell casting in those movies, which
Absolutely.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it's we all know it's television, it's channeling. Like they tell us exactly what they're doing.
Well, it's in the title, television.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
they tell us exactly what they're doing.
yeah,
I mean, if you think about it, it's a portal because you go
it,
like this box takes you into another world.
it does.
Yeah. I'm trying to read some of these comments over here. I have not even looked at them. Sarah, I didn't watch The Exorcist. I hid my face the whole time, but I slept with a rosary under my pillow for 5 years. Oh my gosh.
I don't blame you.
Yep. I still I stayed away from anything that had any sort of feeling of fear because I grew up in so much fear, and it was almost like it was such a generational thing for me. My sister liked watching Paranormal Activity at night, and it came on at 9:00 at night.
Of course it did.
Yeah. And I didn't know what it was, but I was young, and so my mom didn't let me watch it. Obviously, I didn't want to, but I would go to sleep at 7:38, and I remember waking up, jolting awake as soon as they would start watching that show. And I was like, "What are you watching?" I'd come in running in the room crying, and my mom would be like, "Rachel, you have to turn it off." Because she would let her watch it, but she wouldn't at the same time. It was kind of like this. It's like, which one is it?
I mean, I think about those things. I think about those paranormal things where people are actually toying with spirits for TV ratings.
Yeah.
And I'm going, you're lucky that those spirits don't throw the chairs instead of moving them across the floor. They don't throw them at your head. Go get out here and leave us alone.
Yeah.
We're not here. We're not a spectacle. This isn't a game to us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't violate or trespass because I think that's what a lot of these people do. And I think that's where fear comes from, is trespassing. You can trespass a good supernatural thing and it not be good for you.
Yep.
And you have to acknowledge that. I mean, you think about when Yeshua was in the wilderness, he was driven in there. He didn't go of his own volition.
Mm-hmm.
He was driven into the wilderness. And when he came out, the first voice he heard wasn't his father. It was the voice of the adversary.
Yeah.
And it was a very pivotal time. I don't believe had he failed. I think the cross was easier than the wilderness. It was easier than him being tempted by the enemy. Because it says that he put up with the cross. But this was a real test of his character.
Yeah.
And I believe that all of heaven was at attention watching that moment.
Yeah,
because everything hinged on his decisions in those moments, on those three questions.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. I mean, there's, I was talking to this lady that lives over here that's kind of connected with Charlie and everyone. And she calls it an end-of-life doula. So she's like a hospice nurse, basically. And she talks about death essentially like it's birth. She talks about it how you can have a natural, undramatic birth. And that's kind of how it's actually intended to be. And then she talks about how loves what she does because she assists people into being birthed into a new place. And I was like, wow.
Well, it's like you hear people say, well, Jesus died. I'm going, no, he didn't.
Yeah. He just
finished.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And she talks about it and it's kind of funny because the whole weekend I was laughing at how just nonchalantly she's talking about death. I'm like, yeah. I mean, it's amazing. I just never, ever saw the perspective like that.
If you've ever been a part of somebody who was actually crossing over, it's quite spectacular.
Yeah.
I've seen that twice in my life where people literally were talking to people on the other side, and then they would talk to you.
Yeah.
Then, but those are people who, I mean, they were literally finishing their course, and they were stepping over, and they were conversing with people on both sides, and it was very spectacular. A lot of times people think, well, you're just probably kind of crazy, he's talking to people that aren't there. And I'm saying, yeah, they kind of are. They kind of are. It's very real. I mean, the supernatural is thin as a perception.
It's true. Ava, I don't think you're lagging anymore.
Okay, cool.
No, and not are timely.
Awesome.
We got a conversation in a different direction.
Yeah, I've been listening on my phone.
Okay.
We talked about the cross.
To death.
What?
We went from dragons to death.
Yeah, but I have two things.
Go for it.
So somebody in the chat mentioned, just to go back to dragons really, really quickly, because they ask about in Revelation why the devil was referred to as a dragon. I'm not quite sure where it is, but anyone have?
Well, I like to say it's one of those things that, the Bible has been changed so many times and translated so many times. Yeah. So they could have just easily slapped the word dragon on there again to make us afraid of dragons.
But you don't actually think Shakespeare is actually written in the 49th Psalm, do you?
No, he is.
He is.
I know this.
Wait, what?
That's original. Shakespeare was commissioned by King James to rewrite several chapters in the Bible, and one of those was the 49th chapter of Psalm.
Not surprised.
And if you look at, it's the 49th chapter, so if you were to look at that in the Bible, 49 words down is shake, and minus Selah on the bottom, which isn't a part of the writing. Count up 49 words, and there's spear.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. And that goes even deeper because supposedly Shakespeare was a pen name and was not even a real person. It's like Francis Bacon. And then I heard that it's actually multiple people. Oh, so he's touted and celebrated throughout history with all these amazing plays and whatever. And it wasn't even a real human. So how many other things are like that in our life too?
Important to know the genuine.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know the authentic, because it's like somebody telling a joke or a story in one side of the room. By the time it gets to the other side, it doesn't even sound like the same story.
Right.
Yeah.
People see things differently and they hear things differently.
Barbara, Dragonfly Barbara said that she believes that basically dragons were kept from us because of their power, essentially. Afraid of the spirit and the power of dragons. I don't know. I've had some interesting experiences with dragons that I won't get into, but I was essentially shocked when I had the experience, because I was like, wait, is this okay? Because obviously we're all taught that dragons are bad and no, but it's kind of funny when your religious upbringing gets kind of slapped in the face. And you're like, wait, what? I thought this wasn't okay.
Yeah, I've not really had to deal with dragons. My walk has been somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's why one of the reasons a few weeks ago I was typing in, talk about Stargates.
Yeah. Go for it, Tim.
Yeah.
And I didn't know where I was when I was there. I didn't know what to call it. It wasn't until I sat with Ian and he told me where I was. And he had this strange look on his face after I told him my story and what I had seen and what I had done. And he said, you know where you were? I said, no, I have no. I said, I was in an old house. That's all I know. He said, no, son, you were in a Stargate. I went, okay. I didn't even know what that was. But no, I was literally my hour is 3 a.m. That's when I go into these places, and I know that because I wake up and it's 3 a.m. or 3:06 or something like that. But I was in this, appeared in this house, a really old house. I say old, probably built in the 60s or 70s. And it was old, musty paneling. And there was a bookcase in front of me in this foyer, and the house, it was vibrating. The books were shaking on which obviously scared the living crap out of me. Yeah. And so I went over to where the living room was, and there was this round thing on the floor, and I just got down on one knee and I said, Father, what am I doing here? What do I do now? And I looked at the other end of the hall of this house, and there was a bright light coming out from the left of a bedroom or some kind of a room. And at the entrance of that hallway were two figures, and they were human bodies with bird heads. And they were standing there cutting what looked like strawberries on the table. They set the berry on the table, slice the berry, move the slice, and it would turn to powder. Mm-hmm. Slice, turn to powder, organic to synthetic. And they looked at me and asked me, what do you want? And I said, well, I've come to see him in that back room. And they said, well, he's busy. He hasn't got time. I said, you tell him I've come to learn from him. And that one bird figure looked at me. And he turned and went down there, and he came back and he said, he hasn't got time to talk to you. And then all of a sudden, out of the room comes this being that looked like the person wrapped in a mummy cloth. And it was poorly done. And he comes down the end of the hall and he looks at me. He says, what do you want? And I said, I've come to learn from you. He said, sit down. I sat down. He takes this cloth off himself and goes to put it on me. And I shoved him away. And I said, I didn't come to be you. I come to learn. And all of us, then I came out of that immediately. And I sat up and I said, Father, where was I? What was that? He said, you were, that was your father in that. Because my dad was a very violent man. And when he passed, it was everybody else's fault. Before he passed, it was everybody else's fault that he was like he was. And everybody did him wrong. And if you'd have done it this way, it would have been okay, that kind of a thing. And he was physically violent as well as verbally. And so what I came out of there with, I literally woke up. I saw, literally, I was sitting up I'm awake, and I look and I see my father ascend. And when he ascended, he turned and smiled at me. So I told Ian this story. He said, Tim, that wasn't your dad. He said, that was your lineage for all time. Oh. He said, you went into a Stargate and redeemed your lineage for all time. And I went, that's amazing, because I had no idea where I was. And I think, we were created for these things. The only thing that frightened me in there was that vibrating bookcase. Everything else was just very matter of fact. If you've ever been on a mission with the spirit, you're so focused on the mission, nothing else matters. And there's nothing else around. Nothing. Your mind is not on anything else. Yeah. And so that was my experience in that Stargate, that it had to do with lineage. And then all of a sudden I realized that I remember looking at the front of Sphinx, and they have those figures standing there with human bodies and bird heads with the spirit. Holy mackerel. Yeah,
someone in the chat just said that. The Star Owl lady, she just said that. She was like, Egypt.
Yeah. It's amazing what humanity has toyed with, and how important it is to know the genuine. I'm not a guy that wants to beat on Christianity, but I am a guy that says, look, know God for who he is to you. You have to. just believing somebody's philosophy that's not your help. If they're not offering life and just teaching you Bible stories, that's not going to help you, man. At some point, you got to get in the trenches.
Yep. You got to connect the dots.
Yes, you
in
do.
This world.
You do.
That's why I think so many people have loved what we are even doing, here right now on these Sunday night things. We're just like, what about this? And what about this? And this connects to this. And, it's, people are just looking. They're looking for the truth. They're hungry for it, the genuine.
Well, if we would actually help people to understand that they are seeing things and that what they're seeing is actually genuine.
Yeah.
But knowing how there's a reason, I think that the scripture says in Isaiah that to the end of his government and peace, there's no end.
Yeah.
Because there's an order of things. People talk about God's laws and as though they're things you have to keep. And I'm going, no, God's laws serve you. They're there to kill what's killing you.
Yep.
And what his laws do for us is they open our eyes up so we can see what's really there. I've heard the definition that revelation is actually seeing what you've been looking at the entire time.
Yeah. Finally, or just remembering what you've known all along.
Yep.
Are you back with us, Ava?
Doesn't it mean
A little behind.
Doesn't it mean the lifting of the veil or like the removal of the veil or something like that?
Yes, it is. It is
No,
removing
okay.
the veil. Yeah, going beyond the veil. Exactly.
Okay.
That's why
I can't tell, but
that's why the veil of the temple was torn in two.
yeah.
So you could. It's now. It was the metaphor was now we can step beyond the veil into the Holy of Holies, because the Holy of Holies lives in me, not in some building.
Right. Yeah. Did you have something that you said you had something you wanted to cover, Tim? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Catherine and I were she turned me on to a video of these artists, and these people were pretty amazing. And they were talking about tension and agitation and how critical that is if you know why it's there.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to be creative. And so sometimes we get creative, and then there's a productivity that has to come from that creation. You have to produce, but we get stuck in the production.
Yeah.
Instead of understanding that there's a tension that will come in the production that's taking you to the next place of creativity. But because we don't know what the tension and the agitation is, we think somehow we've done something wrong.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't feel good. And so we're trying to ask God, what have I done wrong? What have I done wrong? It's a misdirection. That's why we have to see clearly, so that when this tension and agitation comes, we know that it's actually taking us from the production to the creativity, which then that creativity provides another production, which gives you something to do while the next creative thing is on its way.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important. And so when you know the difference between the soul and the spirit is what actually does the production. The spirit is the creativity. The spirit sees tomorrow. The soul does today what the spirit saw tomorrow.
Yeah. That's good. That goes hand in hand with like just there's been so many things that I've started that like we'll put aside for months. And I don't know why. And then I come back to them and I'm way better at it than I was before. Or sometimes when I get frustrated if I'm learning something, and it's funny because I knew this as like a child, I would like start to learn something on piano or whatever I was doing. And I would get really frustrated because I like kind of hit my limit. And so I like had the conscious decision. I made the conscious decision to say, well, yeah, I'm going to just let it sit in my body. I'm going to let it sit in my body and then just come back a few days later. And I would, and then I came back and I could completely do it exactly how it was supposed to be done, and I can move on. And so that's like exactly what you're talking about right there.
It is. I like
Catholic guilt.
What Lindsay, Catholic guilt. That's great stuff.
I've had that happen.
Go ahead.
I've had that happen with me with dance. Like, it's so funny because I'd be in rehearsal and we'd be going over like our World of Dance routine or something, or some other performance. And then weeks later, I'd be like laying in bed, and there'd be times where I'm just like dancing in my head, and I'd be like, I gotta get up. And it'd be like the middle of the night, and I'd get up and I'll be like, oh my God, this section finally makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, it's like, it's like it needs to like integrate or something.
By the way, Tim, Ava is a closet artist. We're trying to get her out of the closet.
I am.
Yeah.
Song, dance, instruments.
Well, stop painting in the closet or playing in the closet. Go to the kitchen.
Oh yeah.
Transition.
Go to the kitchen.
Baby steps.
I can't put my piano in the kitchen.
No, your piano is in the closet.
My piano is in the closet,
Yeah.
literally. And help me put it back in the closet.
That's right.
Yeah, y'all did a great job. Oh my gosh. Thank you.
Seriously. Oh yeah, Tim's the one that
Holy
like facilitated coming over to my house and giving me sanity again.
Do the people know about that your home group came over last Sunday?
I think I said it last week.
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah.
Because it was last week when they did it.
Yep.
Yeah. Did you post pictures in your community tab or anything?
I did not. Because I want to do it when it's completely finished.
Oh yeah. The stages and everything.
I actually have a whole video that I've been making for 6 months that I'm going to make when it's done. But yeah.
That's because a lot of talk about Catholics in here.
Well, I think Mary says she's an ex-Catholic. I forgot. I feel like there was a few people in this little community that have been in the Catholic world.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's about as bad as the Pentecostal world.
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you what, the Pentecostal world is a tremendous amount of bondage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I find it interesting that when I was born again, prior to me being born again, I was a truly disturbed individual. I was a 22-year-old drug addict that couldn't put two words together. I mean, literally, I had lost my mind. I won't go into the other things that I was. I was very cliche, but it's still a cliche that was real. And when I met the love of God, I met him, was really strange because I was on a date with this girl. And she said, I've got to stop by the Civic Center and get some money from my parents. Come on in with me. So I went into the Civic Center with her. I'm sitting in the Civic Center in the back row. She's talking to her mom and dad. I don't know what's going on. There's about 2,500 people in this Civic Center. And all of a sudden, the sound system just squelches like crazy. And that draws my attention to the platform. And there's this gentleman standing there and some kid sitting to the side with a little just an 8-channel turn board, and he squelched the sound system. It was just this mic. And it happened 3 times, and I'm sitting there thinking, man, will somebody throw that kid off the stage and get somebody up there that knows what he's doing? Well, this man, every time he would do it, he'd say, excuse me, everybody, turn his back on us and talk to this person and put his arm around him and go, that's a good, that's a good job, way to go. And I'm going, way to go? That ain't a way to go. I know how to run sound, and that ain't it. Finally, this gentleman asked this young man to come stand by him. He puts his arm around him. He said, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to my son. And he said, he's mentally handicapped, but isn't he done a great job tonight? I mean, I melted for the first time. I melted. And I'm sitting there and my words came out of my mouth. You're better off than me because you got a daddy that loves you.
Mm.
I wish I were you. And then this man says, if you want to meet this Jesus, you come down here. I sat in my seat and I said, if he's anything like you, I'm in. I met a father and a son when I entered the kingdom. I didn't meet some almighty God that was, knew the Bible inside and out. It wasn't any of that. I met the love of God through a father and a son, and that son reminded me of me. And I needed what that boy had.
Yeah.
That was January of 1978. So I'm 45 years in.
Nice. Happy anniversary.
Yeah.
But it's not any more complicated than that. And we try to make it more complicated. I know there are mysteries, but the kingdom of heaven is simple. Religion is complicated. It's beyond figuring out. You just can't. And that's what separates people, because we'll try to apologize for things that we believe, or we just try to get along. And I want to get along. I want to be the nicest guy in the room, but I'm not going to compromise who I am to get along. I just can't do that. I compromised. That's what caused my hell. I didn't know who I was. I don't know how many personalities I had. It took me a long time to get to just one, and I wasn't about to go back. But just to simplify things, man, laws are, the laws in the Old Testament. Those aren't God's laws. Those are man's laws that God said, if you want them, we'll put them there. We'll scroll them out for you.
Yeah.
If that's what you want, that's what's in your heart to do, then we'll do that until.
Yeah.
And then when the Messiah came, he said this. He said, there's only two laws. Love God with all your heart, and your neighbor as yourself. Done. It sums up all the laws and all the prophets.
Yeah.
This ain't hard.
Yeah. Seriously, it's so overcomplicated. It's ridiculous. And that's why it is, like Helen said, it is another controlling mechanism, chipping away at individuality. It's exactly what it is.
Yeah. That's why they've gone into our grade schools and our colleges. Because back when I was a kid and before, the reason for government-run schools and they set kids in rows was to prepare them for industrial work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they haven't changed that. But now what they've done is they've taken a different step. The industrial age is going bye. And so now they've had to try to figure another way out in it. And so they have, and that's why they've confused a lot of things, particularly the minds of young people. So, but again, that's why we have to know the genuine. It's really important. And I'm not so concerned with the political system. I don't focus on that. I don't focus on. I'm telling you, man. I know this, man. The Redeemer of time. He says, I'll take 1,000 years and I'll bend them. Instead of you having to walk for 1,000 years, I'll bend them and you can step across.
Yeah.
Redeeming time. It's spectacular world to live in. Totally unreligious.
Yeah.
Totally.
It makes you just saying that. I'm just like, so much of the Bible is taken as not literal. No, the opposite of literal. But like, even with that, like, that's even possible. Like what you said, like literally like bending time. We talked about this like a few weeks ago about like rich time and poor time. And how that's possible, essentially, like having time work for you. And even you brought up that, the time could possibly be Lucifer himself, because we're trapped in time, just all the stuff. My mind goes a billion different places, like a billion different places.
Well, if you think about it, we've talked about this a lot, that your blood is actually congealed light.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the Bible says be in the light even as he is, but I think the word in was added.
Yeah. Be the
I think
light.
it's just be light even as he is light.
Yeah. I wouldn't doubt it.
And that can even mean multiple things, because I have a guest on here. His name's Joel, and he has a Toltec shamanistic background, and he's studied with shamans and all this stuff, like grew up with them. And they talk about, when we come here to get light, like to get rid of like ancestral stuff, like you faced, and like Liz has faced, and like some things that I've faced, and like just getting rid of the baggage and all that stuff. And to we come here and we're dense, and the goal is to leave lighter. So they could even mean that too.
Yeah.
It's true. And a lot of the evidence that we have that we are becoming, as you said, lighter, is that we're supposed to be inheriting the earth.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't done that.
Yeah.
And so I look at, you read things about the verses that say the trees of the field clap their hands. Well, I mean, Lord of the Rings didn't get it all that wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes even a blind squirrel finds a nut, and it's very, very accurate that nature has a memory.
Yeah.
And nature wants to give and to yield, because it was created with words.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the evidence of those words that when your footsteps, man, I'm telling you, where you walk, the earth remembers you.
Yep. There's a funny little trend on TikTok going around that people are standing next to a tree and saying, "Can you touch me, please?" And you can see the branch just getting closer and closer and closer, and then it touches them, and they're like, "What?" It's like people are discovering this, that nature responds to us, and it's like it's a trend on TikTok right now, And I'm like, that just gives me so much hope. I'm like, we're moving in a good direction, finally.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I watch nature, and I literally watch animals. My backyard is about an acre. We have deer, turkey, skunks, whatever, coming through the yard. I watch all these creatures in the yard at one time, and not a one of them gets spooked by one another. But if I walk off the porch, they scatter.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me. It's not supposed to be that way.
Right.
It's because we're so out of tune.
Yep.
That's it. That's why I'm saying that inheriting the earth, it's a real good gauge between nature and the natural and the supernatural. Even
the fact that like we've literally all like imprisoned ourselves, like in our houses, trapped away from nature.
Yeah.
Like I just think about how my husband, lived as a child, and not even as a child. He lived like that till he was 20. But all of like they just go inside and sleep. And it's just so they don't get wet, or like, if it's raining, like they just have a shelter. It's not like anything like the houses we have. And then they spend the rest of their life outside. That's what they do. And he doesn't particularly like animals, but he has this respect for them still. And animals aren't afraid of him, even though he's kind of just like, no, I don't care. Cool. They're not afraid of him. And, in his culture, they take what they need, and they don't over excessively kill anything. Like it's Africa. Like there's wild animals everywhere. And, they know the ones that are dangerous, and they know the ones that are not. And they know the ones that are good food, and they know the ones that, aren't. But it's just it's beautiful to see, because even as a man that pretty much hates animals, like he does not care at all about them, he still has this like deep respect for them. And he like, he doesn't like cats because he's like, they just look at you. You know what they're thinking. Like, he's like, he just knows that there's.
I'm on board with that.
Yep. Tim's on the same page with that.
Yeah, I'm on board.
But it's just funny because he connects to him still in a spiritual way, even though he's just kind of like, I see you see me, let's leave each other alone. But it's just funny. I mean, that's like a portion, I'm sure, of what we're supposed to be.
I'm on low battery. I'm on low battery. I don't know how much longer I'm going to last.
Well, it's been about an hour.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. It's been really good conversation.
You guys, I just think the world of you. You're brilliant. Your audience is brilliant. I love talking with them when I'm, yeah, this is fun.
We might just have to do a show together, Tim, on a weekly basis. We might just have to.
Oh yeah, y'all should.
I'd enjoy that.
Might just have to.
Because I like. First of all, I'm not scared to talk about things. I don't even care if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, that means somebody has an opportunity to tell me what's right.
Yep, or just another perspective.
Yeah. So, yeah, I love going out there. The safest place in the world is the kingdom to be wrong.
It's true.
Because it's not being held against you.
Yeah.
He's not slapping you down, telling you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very true. Because I mean, I've introduced Ava into like some of the courtroom stuff, essentially, and even in that, it's like there's grace for it. Like even if you don't get the protocol right, there's still grace for it because you know what you know until you know something else.
That's right. That's right. That's what I think that's so important that I think it's the reason that the Bible talks about the body of Christ and not the liver of Christ. We're literally we supply what we need. I can't supply, there's parts of, you think about it, man, my thumb can't supply what my liver does.
Yeah.
But my liver needs my hand. And if we'd ever come to terms with that, I think it would be so much easier for us to quit judging each other and slapping each other down because we don't know a thing, or we were wrong about something, or we were just simply trying to get better about something, or maybe we were having a bad day and just being a real jerk. I think I've had that day once or 1,000 times.
That just reminds me of that. Oh, I forgot. It was some story you were telling about a guy parking way too close to you or something like that. And then Chad came back with the same story. And he's like, well, if you've seen me, you've seen my father.
Yeah, I was driving down the road one time and this guy cut me off and I called him a name. And all of a sudden I heard a voice that said, do you really think that's what he is? I said, no, sir. That's just what he did.
Yeah. That's good.
I saw this meme. Oh, you know what? What were you saying?
No, I want to hear what you got to say.
I saw this meme the other day that said, if every word that came out of your mouth, or what if every word that came out of your mouth was written on your body? Yeah. And it was like this picture of skin with like a bunch of words just written on it. And it's like, that is like, something to make you think about how you're using your words, what you're saying, how you're speaking to people, how you're speaking about yourself, and like what that looks like visually.
What if
everything could look like visually?
What about everything you thought came out of your mouth? Could you imagine that?
That too.
That'd be a little chaotic.
Or even if you like displayed your thoughts like above your head. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Scrolling marquee.
Yeah, seriously. Oh my God.
Yeah, like the national debt just keeps rolling. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, so we have some people agreeing that different perspectives are a great way, says Keith, to keep your mind open. And Helen says there are no answers, just more questions, which is there's truth to that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
By the way, oh yeah, Liar Liar was a movie about that. I was trying to think of the name of the movie. Thanks, Carlo. Liar Liar is where he had to tell the truth.
Yeah.
Or
he could not tell the truth. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. By the way,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say really quickly, today's Helen's birthday, so happy birthday, Helen.
Happy birthday.
That was that.
Congratulations.
Okay.
We'd be like
What were we saying,
Marcy and sing to her. He sings.
Oh, you
He's
want
so
to?
adorable. Marcy, I don't know if you know who that is, Tim, but he's he kind of just does like current news, and he's very much with the whole like revaluation thing. But he's been doing this for years, and he will write down everybody's birthday in his chat of like thousands of people, and he'll sing at the end to them.
That's cool, Mark. Well done.
It's adorable.
That's cool. I like that.
He does it every show.
I'm at 1%, so if I disappear, you'll know why.
You've gone into the cloud.
That's right. Well, interestingly enough,
you so much for being here.
I've got it pulled up on my phone, so I may be able to stay on. We'll see. Let's see what happens.
You can probably get back into StreamYard on your phone if you have enough.
I do. I actually have my phone up, and this is on. So
Okay.
Cool.
Well, you can hop back in.
Yeah. What is the Chica birthday song? Helen said sing the Chica birthday song. What is that?
The rapture of Tim leaves.
Right, yeah, not the rapture. Right, and we didn't miss the bus, y'all. It's just Tim's phone just died.
That's right.
Oh my gosh.
That's so funny.
Yeah, rapture. That's a captive
hot topic.
conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. You brought that up last week.
Yeah, there was no mention of rapture until the church started falling apart. And
yeah. Oh, there he goes.
Oh.
He raptured.
Okay,
Guys.
bye. Have a beautiful time. Right as he was about to say it.
Oh my Lord.
That's funny.
I saw Chelsea ask me. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I saw Chelsea ask me if I'm back in my house. No, I'm not. Not yet. I have
in a couple
more
weeks though.
And
I'll be there.
Yes, you will. Honestly, I could move back in right now. I could, but we have so much stuff here. I've got to take over there. But we're getting countertops tomorrow.
What is? Oh, the countertops! Yay!
Gotta have a little dance break. Ooh, wait.
Finger touch. Oh my god.
I can't touch to save my life.
Hilarious. Did you see Helen's like, Arma, get it out of here?
Oh my god.
Oh, he's back. Okay.
He's back? Oh, there he is.
Yay. I don't know if having a third person on is what made my Wi-Fi weird, because that doesn't make sense. But I haven't had issues like that before.
I think it is. Because it just did it a little bit.
Mine?
I have no idea. It's Tim's frequency.
Well, no, the
frequency.
Jesus said, "I'm not ready. Go back."
He wasn't ready. Go back.
Go back. Try again.
No.
Try again.
Yeah. You coming up here, boy.
You literally said, you got more to do.
Got more to do.
You got your second win coming.
He's all, it is not finished.
Right. That's right.
Did you see our little dance break, Tim?
What's that?
We did a little dance break while you were gone.
Oh.
We're excited about my countertop.
Dance break.
Mr. Mans. I'm to you. Two are hilarious.
Oh, the baby.
Little sleepy boy's gotta say hello.
Look at him. Look at his face. Look at his cheeks.
He doesn't want to say hello. Okay.
It's bright, Mom.
He's sleeping so good.
Look.
Okay. I'll put you back down. put you down.
Oh. Oh my gosh, Tim.
And
Look at him.
What?
Oh my gosh.
You're
Have
cutting
you
into,
missed the,
you're cutting into JR's Ava time.
have you missed the saga of the forbidden love that JR has?
Well, I'll be quiet.
Oh my gosh.
No. This is so funny. Keith said, I'm not allowed off this reality either yet, Tim.
Good. Then I found a kindred spirit.
Keith is in New Zealand, over by where Ian is.
Ah.
He doesn't know Ian, but they're in the same area.
Oh, that's right.
He's our resident Kiwi.
He's in New Zealand. Yeah, forbidden love. So he's our day ahead person. He's our futuristic family member.
Oh, so spirit and we're soul.
There you go.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, what?
Mary.
Okay, so in Mary's chat last night, it was like I came in really, really late. This is a total side note. I came in like an hour or something late saying hi, and these two had been back and forth for a while, and Helen's all Ava, JR started it and he did it, and it was like two kids. Like the teacher comes back in the classroom and the kids were cutting up and they're all like, no, he did it. I was like, what's going on? Everybody's like butt slapping and stuff. I'm like, what is going on in this live chat? So random. But anyway, we have a request. Oh yeah, actually, Tim, we need you to pick back up with the rapture speak.
Before you got raptured.
Before you got raptured.
Yeah, well, I remember, just a sidebar, I remember when I first was born again, the church I was going to had rapture practice. They made you jump. Kids, you know.
They made you jump.
Yep. Rapture practice.
What is that supposed to help?
It's not.
Because you know,
first of all,
like nobody knows.
Oh, well, there's so many things about Christianity that's already in the scripture that's already been fulfilled. And people saying, well, you mean the Messiah's not coming back? That's not what I said. There is an imminent return, but the second coming came. That's when he showed himself to the guys after he left and came back. And that's when they said, didn't our hearts burn in us while he spoke? So everybody's looking for a second coming. And they're looking for a rapture. Well, first of all, I have a problem with that. And I tell people, if you believe Jesus is coming back any day, please give me your bank account numbers. Because you won't need it. If Jesus is coming back any day, I'm saying the earth is the Lord's, and he's given that to us as an inheritance. And we think that we're going to have to go to heaven. Man, wherever you are and wherever the Spirit of God is heaven. I mean, if you were out in the cosmos somewhere, you'd call this the heavens. Mm-hmm. And so I won't buy the finite religious thinking that tells me that I need to escape this old world so I can go sit in a mansion.
Yeah. Another box.
Another box. And I'm going, no, that doesn't make any sense. We were created to rule with him. We are kings and we're priests. We're not little Christian servants that never deserve God's love. I'm so fed up with that kind of a philosophy because it's kept people down. That's why I've said that we've got to stop being these political talking points. Stop being called evangelicals. Stop tagging ourselves with these names and letting people tag us. And because, you know, we have tags on denominational churches. We have tags in non-denominational churches. And the non-denomination is worse than denomination. At least the denomination says what you are.
No.
The non-denomination says what you're not, but it doesn't say who you are. And so if we ever stop trying to put people like Liz said in a box, that little frame, so that we can now categorize you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason that the Pharisees and the Sadducees really hated the Messiah, was because they couldn't categorize him.
Yep.
They hated it. They couldn't stand it. And yet people, I mean, when was the last time you walked for 3 days and 5,000 people followed you without food and water?
Yeah.
Because he
Right.
he resonated. He wasn't trying to find a crowd. He was looking for the ones. And that's critical. And in our church world today, we think that we have to have crowds in order to be relevant.
Yeah.
And yet the always look to get away from the crowd.
Yeah.
And we're trying to find them to feed our ego. And somehow the more people we have, the more relevant we are, the more we must be doing something right. Man, some of the greatest men and women of God I know are loners.
Mm-hmm.
But I will sit at their feet for days just to listen to them because they've been at the throne.
Yep.
I'm not saying big churches. I'm just saying that's not the benchmark of success in the kingdom. I had a preacher ask me a question. He said, do you have a multiracial church? I said, well, I open the door and whatever color walks in, welcome. He goes, well, that kind of philosophy, you'll never be a big church. I turned to my wife and I said, please get me out of here. I want to beat this off. I know, but I was so angry because of the people that are subject to that thinking, so divisive. And we have wondered for years why we're not walking in the effective anointing that breaks yoke. Because we're trying to be cool in skinny jeans with rips in them.
Yep. That's a very natural thing.
Oh, the pastors?
Pastors and musicians and, just super trendy and showy and
in like the big production music team.
Concert.
Yeah. It's like that here too. Yeah, it's pretty much a concert and they think they're
I'm
like
to a concert. I'm going to Led Zeppelin.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's just wild. And what you were saying, Tim, about they have this, I don't remember exactly how you said it, but almost like this, they're being misled or have this wrong mindset. They're not really about the people or about the business. Like these 501(c) churches that essentially do this tax break thing, but it's all about just, creating a cash cow, and they're buying their jets and their nice stuff and blah, 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 blah. And also, so like the 501(c), essentially they end up getting ruled by governmental regulation, whatever government that, I don't know, is that a federal thing? I think if it's taxes.
Is actually what the church was lumped in with the military.
Oh. So I don't fully understand it, but isn't there essentially a part of that where they can't say certain things because of they signed over to became a 501(c)? Like, isn't that one reason why Joel Osteen doesn't really ever preach the Bible? He had it's so crazy. I saw one portion of a live stream with them. And it was okay, so it's all prosperity. There's nothing wrong with speaking about prosperity, but it's prosperity focused teaching. And it sounds really weird for me to say that because I think it's better to focus on abundance than poverty mindset. But you know what I mean? Where it's all focused on what can God do for me? And it is motivational teaching. He even has this thing. It's like this cube that you can, I saw a commercial for it. It's like this, get Joel Osteen's motivational cube and wake up every morning to his motivational phrases or whatever. Not Bible verses, not God is good or whatever. I don't know. Jesus wept, but it's like his motivational things. I'm like, what is this? But it's just like they're so focused on everything but feeding people truth and life and like living water and like the breath of God, you know what I mean? And it's like it's about what you're wearing, how good you're singing, what the music production and the lights look like, how big the church is, and how many parking spots are filled, you know what I mean?
Well, I know that feeling because I felt the same way for a while. I felt like that's what I had to do, that was the job of the ministry, was to get as many people in as you could and keep as many and do great things, blah, blah, blah. The greatest thing ever happened to me was getting out of the church business, because I was able then to become the genuine me. And then my world, because when you have a church, and I'm not speaking about everybody, but I am speaking about a lot of ministry, where when you have a church, you're very exclusive because you're always looking in. You're always building your thing. But when you don't, now you have the opportunity to enter the kingdom and look out. And now your world exponentially is larger. And your effectiveness, I'm able to go into places and be with people that I could have never been with. And not trying to be a preacher, not trying to be a minister, trying to affect them. I just like being with people. I just want to, I don't, one of the things I loved about and still do about Messiah is that he loved people that nobody wanted anything to do with.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. I absolutely love that because I really enjoy being with people. I don't care what they believe. I don't care what their doctrine or philosophy is. I don't care what God they serve. I don't care what they do for a living. I just want to be around people. And I know there are people that you can't really be around because they're just not, they're just kind of evil, you can't really be around. But not for the most part. For the most part, we find that when you take all of the trappings away, we have so much more in common than we have in different. But much like the political world, we split hairs. And the political world didn't get that. It came by honestly. It came to the church. The church started it.
Yeah.
They're the ones that began splitting hair and separating and segregating. And if you don't believe what we believe, then you can't.
Mm-hmm.
That's not love. That's manipulation.
Yeah. I was quite surrounded by lots of religion this weekend.
Oh yeah. Is there anything you can share about this weekend? Because I know I had some people in my Patreon who asked.
I mean, I can share just my experience. It's always a very interesting time at those events because it is a absolute circus. And it's funny because we were actually in tents this time.
And then the clowns.
Yeah, the clowns all came out. There's just it's very interesting because there is a whole lot of ego, a whole lot of cash cowing, I'd say. And I did a video recently on networking and all that stuff, and like how I don't like networking. I like genuine connection with people, and then a beautiful network comes out of that. And all these people there, you can just see everybody's on the prowl, like who's got the biggest dollar sign over their head. And yes, there are very genuine people in this whole movement and everything. There's plenty of not. plenty of people that are not. But yeah, I mean, it was fun. I like being all around all the crazies.
I mean, I think the Messiah said, well, he said, you gather them, I'll sort them out.
There you go. There you go. It was in Tim's neck of the woods also. It was like right down the road from his house.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of funny because I was telling Ava this actually. I kind of feel like my calling, my like part of my scroll, whatever terminology you want to use, has always been to bridge or to help the broken people of the church find themselves, essentially. And that's what Hollywood really is. And because when I was in film school, everybody was there because everybody that was in my film school was like hurt by the church and running away as fast as they could. Running, I guess, from religion. And I always felt like I feel bad for the people that are stuck in religion and stuck in that trap. Because I was once at one point, but at the same time, I've always kind of been awake because I've always seen spiritually. You kind of can't not be awake if you have like a intense spiritual gift of like seeing. And you just kind of see the bullshit from far away. And you can't help but not to. But I have a genuine heart for people that are in the circus and playing who's who in the zoo, because they are just very broken people. Like, I mean, that's just what it is. But it is also beautiful, just speaking on, being with Charlie and everything. It's beautiful, the people that he's surrounded himself with, because we're all on the same frequency. And it went from me being the only person to now he's got like 30 people. And we're all just this nice community, like most of the people in this chat, that are all like think the same way, have the same intentions, just, good people. And so I'm very proud of him for that, I should say. He is probably, just speaking, highly of him, he is probably one of the biggest speakers there. And he didn't have to walk around with a badge because everybody knew who he was. But he was the only one that would like go past the barrier and go out into the people. He took pictures with everyone. He would introduce people. Like if he didn't know who someone was that was speaking, he'd be like, "Hi, I'm Charlie," assuming that they didn't know who he was. And sometimes the other people would like scoff because he didn't know who they were. And it was just funny because he had no, what do you call it? No ego about him. Yeah.
He's so humble. And
yeah, seriously.
And what's cool is like you can totally tell he loves the attention, and he loves when people are like, Charlie, oh my God. Like we can get 5 feet without having to stop for people to take pictures or sign autographs when I first met y'all in New York. And it's like he loves that, but he loves it from a pure place. Like he loves it from the people aspect, like, oh, worship me, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
he genuinely loves people, just
cool.
like Tim was saying. Genuinely loves people and has time for everybody for the most part. And it's a really beautiful thing to see. But I like that I'm there with him and his group. It's a huge blessing. But yeah, this weekend was crazy. And, there's talks about everything always. Always. I don't know if Tim, you probably don't. I don't think you watch anything of his, but he kind of made a lot of people mad on the internet recently because of something that he said with the reevaluation. And I mean, it makes sense. I don't think the world is ready for a bunch of people to have bukus of money.
Who is saying that I don't watch?
Charlie.
Oh. I'm familiar with what he does.
Yeah. But he basically said that like the reevaluation wouldn't happen until 2024. And a lot of people got really mad about it. But I mean, it's very true. Like, you know, there's plenty of people that are not ready because money is a great revealer of character. And people have some work to do still. I probably have some work to do still. You know, and also if, you know, if they were to let people in on, oh, it's going to happen, everything's going to be saved, like the rapture, you know, it's the same analogy, like then people would just sit down and do nothing.
Yep.
So, you know, no one's going to tell you when things are coming. Just
no. Rapture is not. I want to go back to that because I kind of tailed off, but I want to kind of address that real quick. That philosophy showed up in the church. God, I'm getting back in the 18th century, maybe late 18th century. The church wasn't doing so well, and so they took the scripture that says Jesus will appear in the twinkling of an eye. And everybody says, you know, he's coming back in a twinkling of an eye. Are you ready? The rapture's coming. He's coming to take us away, take us out of this old nasty world. And literally people out of fear were coming back by the droves. Yeah. And there was the teaching for the longest time, even during the charismatic movement, had to do with Jesus coming back anytime. And that, I mean, I saw people, because it was also the beginning of the prosperity movement, when it was, okay, you're talking about, there was a book out, Why Jesus is Coming Back in 1988. And people lost their ever-loving minds.
That was my birth year.
They were literally buying, they're literally living on minimum wage, out buying Mercedes and new homes because they're not going to have to pay for them because Jesus is coming back in 1988.
That sounds very familiar, guys.
And then when he didn't come back in 1988, that fool wrote a book. The same guy wrote a book, Why Jesus Come Back in 1989. Kid you not.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, you just can't make this up.
No.
And that tells you also how gullible religion makes people.
Yeah.
It doesn't equip them to be wise and intelligent. It equips them to be weak, and in effect, it does handicap. And so, and I always preface this a lot of times. I don't want anybody to think that I'm against the church. I love the church. I just think that it's one of the most poorly run businesses on the planet.
Yeah.
Because it's not, it's not the smoke machine, the ice machine, or the smoke machine that breaks the yoke of bondage. It's the anointing, the essence and presence of God. So if I go to a show, I'll go see Def Leppard. Somebody of that caliber. But I don't always want to have to need, because I don't believe that God leaves you needy. Yeah. He's wanting, not needy. Because I want more of, I want the next level of creativity. I want to move, because that's glory to glory to glory. That's what that is. Mm-hmm. And then he says that my glory will cover the earth as the waters cover the sea. It's very, very simple. Yeah. And profound. So when we break down systems and we are honest about it and stop trying to prop up something because it's our living. I mean, trust me when I tell you, when I got rid of being a church pastor, it cost me. I even told our congregation, because God told me one time, he said, you tell your people to quit paying tithe. They don't owe you tithe. They don't owe tithe. And I said, okay. And I asked him, I said, well, what do I do? He said, first of all, they don't pay tithe. It's not a debt. Yeah. They must pay the debt. It's over. There is no debt. He said, now if people want to give honor, that's one thing. Or if they want to give it to you because out of love or whatever, that's fine. Yeah. But they don't owe anything. So I'm like, okay, that cost me. Mm-hmm. But I proved during that time that God's the provider of the things that I need. But I had determined that I am not going the way, I don't want to call it the world, but the way of of Christianity that is just nothing new under the sun. It's just recycled Christianity every 7 years. It's the same stuff. It's just recycled.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to go that. I wanted to break out of that. If I wanted to be in a circle, I wanted to be in a corkscrew.
Yeah.
I want to be headed up. I know that a lot of times the ending is the same as the beginning, but it doesn't mean that's where you stop. You keep moving forward and up. And I wanted to be there. I wanted to go there. I wanted to be able to dream again.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to really know what it was, glory to glory. When I was stuck in the church world, there was no glory to glory. It was just the glory that was there. And then now you just be trying to be productive. And it was in my life, it was sapping my life.
Yeah.
And I told Catherine, I said, I've got to get out of here. I can't do this. It's literally killing me.
Yeah.
I have to quit this. And man, you talk about when the scripture says, when you find a wife, you found a good thing. That word good ain't even close to what it is. I'm telling you, man, she stood with me and it stood with me through things I'm thinking, man, I wouldn't have stayed with me if I could have got away. And I just mean because this walking with God is not, it's not for the weak-hearted, if you will. I mean, salvation is, but I'm telling you, man, when you're going to walk with God, you're going to have to make some choices and decisions and walk in some arenas that you know that he's there with you, that you can smell him. You can smell the Father in. You can see he's the rose of Sharon. When you smell him, you're like, okay, I follow the aroma.
Yeah.
I follow the aroma, but it means I have to do what that preacher did when I was in 1978 and he turned his back on the crowd to talk to his son.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to do that. And what you find is that there are a lot of people who've done that. And they're looking for one another.
Mm-hmm.
Tired of the mundane thing that just is the same over and over and over. And there's nothing new under the sun. But I will tell you, everything is new in the sun.
My God.
I love that you brought up the fact that you got the message from God that to stop, that they don't owe anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you said that, I was like, wow. If people are indoctrinated to already step into the church thinking they are in debt or they owe a debt to something already, and it's like there's this conditioning from the government of that, then there's this conditioning from the church of that, and then with religion it's like there's a very kind of this like undertone, not spoken so much today, but this undertone of like, to be religious and holy you have to be poor and like always struggling or whatever, and it's like this like suppression, or I don't know if it's oppression, if that's the right word. I don't quite understand the difference between those, but that is wild. And it's really cool that you essentially like gave people the permission to free themselves from that and to question it. Like you like on the deck and you're like scared to the music and like switched up the programming. Like, wait, I don't have to do what? Because, it's just like this automatic thing. And then people, I think Liz and I have talked about this, but like, I remember in college, there were times where like I didn't have, okay, so when I went to college, I stopped going to church and then I went back because I felt like I needed to. And then I was a broke college student and I'm sitting there giving out of this place that I don't have anything, but I feel like I need to because, what's going to happen. And then, it's going to come back to me tenfold and blah, blah, blah. And then it didn't come back to me tenfold. And I'm like, what did I do wrong? And, so it's just weird spiral of like grossness that is wrapped around that,
Some weird psychological manipulation there.
It's like
Well, yeah.
torture, like trauma, around money.
It's a constant thing in a lot of church where it's always wanting money for this and money for that. And if I had a guy call me one time, and he said, "Man, I called you to give your people a chance to be blessed." I said, "Man," I knew I was being baited. And I said, "Okay, how's that?" He said, "Well, my wife and I bought a ministry van, and we wanted to give your people an opportunity to give offering to help us to pay off the van that we drive in ministry." I said, "Wait, bro, you bought a van you can't afford. You're calling me to get people that I know to pay it off."
Oh my gosh.
That's, bro. That's you doing what the rest of us can't do. I said, "You buy what you can afford. You don't buy something and then call everybody to pay it off for you."
Seriously.
He goes, "Well, no, really, man. I just want your people to be blessed." I said, "They are blessed." I said, "I'm not telling you, brother. I wouldn't be glad to help you do something, but for the love of God, dude, let's quit blaming this." I had some prophet talk about how he had to live by faith. I said, "You ain't living by faith. You're living off the good graces of everybody else's income. That ain't faith. The people that are paying your way are the ones living by faith." I'm saying we got to get our vernacular right. And the ministry, we have to grow up. We have to be people that people want to be around.
Yeah.
Don't think that first of all, leadership doesn't know it all. They know we don't know any more than most people, and that's the fallacy. on this plane, like, you know more than I do, and I'm going, leadership is simply that I want to help you be the best. That if I'm going to be great in the kingdom, I help you to stand on my shoulder to be greater than me.
Yeah. Yeah, you should always be raising up people to replace you.
Yeah, because at some point I will need to be. But I don't want to be the keynote all the time.
Yeah.
Trust me, you can tell tonight I don't have a problem talking. But I just so desperately think it's absolutely time that we as leaders in the body of Christ that have been in this thing, I've been in this thing now for almost 40 years. And so I've transitioned many, many times.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm grateful to be where I am, because the older you get walking with God in the kingdom, the more relevant you become.
Yeah.
Because if that weren't so, no one would be talking to the Ancient of Days.
Yeah.
Say,
it's true.
We don't get old, we become more relevant.
Yep. We have switched from tithing to trading.
Yes.
And that is a beautiful thing. Because you're investing your time, like your money is literally your life. It's the physical representation of your life, because you spend your time making it, earning it. And so when you trade, essentially, you're trading on whatever the person's saying, or, into someone else's life. You're putting your literally life force into it. So there's much more of an intention behind it than just paying off your salvation.
Yeah, you think of the responsibility of leadership. If you're going to think that you're a liaison between people and the Father, you better be representing him right.
Yeah.
You better not say God said this and he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Because the scripture says your words will find you out.
Yeah.
That ain't fun.
They're like a boomerang.
Also,
then
it's like, what God are they referring to as to? Or also, like, because that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
But
I've always heard that, or not always, but That's another thing Ian has said, that God, essentially, the voice of God and your familiar spirits that like to whisper things into your head speak from the same area. So if you haven't dealt with those familiar spirits, basically you're like inner demons, then you're hearing both.
Yeah.
It's like you, and unless you have really good discernment, which, you know, you're not going to be able to tell the difference, because they also speak in first person usually.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This is kind of cute. Brianna said she's like, not Catholic. I was baptized Methodist. However, at a very young age in Sunday school, I asked about the Divine Mother, and teacher told me there was none. And then she said, I didn't believe her, so I left and went along on the tree swing.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Kind of cute.
That's cute.
We a little bit about the mothering of God this morning, that if God wasn't both father and mother, women wouldn't exist.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And I also feel like wisdom plays a huge role in that also. Wisdom is very close to the father.
Mm-hmm.
And she is a mother.
She is a mother. Yep.
She has essentially become my mother in a lot of ways. And that's how that's just how I've even stepped into any ounce of like feminine power, like embracing it, was from essentially being taught and mothered by wisdom as a being, basically.
Yeah, I mean, she's brilliant, as is Hope. They're just brilliant, and you don't talk to them like they're you don't talk about them like they're not there, which is what a lot of people do. I mean, the phrase "I hope so," hope doesn't mean maybe, but that's what the phrase means. So we talk about someone as though they're not in the room.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's no possibility of faith without hope.
It's true.
Hope leads to faith.
Yeah.
Hope's what you hold in your heart, and faith is what you hold in your hand that you held in your heart. It's the essence of things not seen. It's so simple and so wonderful, and been so misunderstood for so long. And that's why I think a lot of people just get confused in church, because I think, like me tonight, the preachers, we just talk too damn much. We talk about too many things. We change subjects so often.
You just get on a flow. You ride the flow.
That's what we call it.
Ride the wave. When you were like, I don't know if I should do it tonight. I don't know how, you got to be up early. I was like, you're going to be on there for a long time. I just know it. Once you start, you're going to get going.
Well, and it's the company that I keep that does that. So,
well, like I said, we definitely should be doing a show. We could do a Sunday night show. Or no, not Sunday night. We got to do another night.
I was like, what?
Wait a minute.
I'm like, sorry.
Right here.
Some night. I don't know which one.
Good catch.
My brain is not firing on all cylinders right now. I don't even know what day it is at this point.
I'm all like,
she's like, taking my spot. No, but I can talk to you about this later, but I was just thinking we could start streaming Sunday. We can talk about it later.
Oh.
Yeah.
But we can do that, and that'll actually That could work in this time that I'm in right now with the babe.
Yeah.
That could work pretty well.
Oh, how nice.
Oh.
Thank you, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Keith gave you a compliment earlier. I don't know if you saw it either, but
I don't have, all I'm seeing is what y'all are posting because I'm on my phone and not my iPad went dead. So
yeah,
Was
he
it
was
something like Tim's the man or something like that?
yeah. He's like, I love this. This is awesome.
thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much, man, for inviting me on here. I absolutely love this. And I wouldn't have this liberty if you didn't give it to me. So thank you guys so much.
Of course.
Yeah.
I've been trying to
You
get
added
you
it to
on. Sorry, go ahead.
No, finish.
No, I was just saying I've been trying to get him out into the interwebs for a while now.
What were you going to say, Ava?
I think she froze.
Oh, she froze.
She froze. Oh, there she is.
Yeah.
Hey.
It's really annoying. Yes.
What were you going to say?
Okay. Okay. I was going to say thank you for being here because you added a whole different element, to we had some divine masculinity in here, which is cool.
There we go.
Yeah. Some balance to it, some young. But it was also just cool to have like your insight and experience, what you could add to our conversation because it was very, I think a lot of people, especially in our platforms, a majority of them, I would say is safe to say, went through church and are working through church trauma and stuff. And it's like, we still, there's like some might still hold resentment or anger or hurt or shame or guilt or whatever around it. And it's easy to like totally just condemn all churchgoers and religion and everything, but there's people that are still in the prison that need to be saved.
Yeah.
And need the compassion and the kindness and the grace and the love too, because we were once that person, that was being led blindly or knowingly,
Yeah, you're right. You're right. There's a lot of people that have been hurt, and because a lot of us preachers were put in a pulpit when we weren't ready for prime time. I went to Bible school. That was the biggest waste of years of my life. And the thing is, man, there are these 20-somethings. The churches all of the country are actually going to these Bible colleges trying to find young happening preachers. They don't care if they have any wisdom. They just want to know, can you help us can you be slick, and can you help us build a big church? I had a guy here in Nashville offer me years and years ago. I think I was like 36 years old. He said, look, we got all the money you need. We'll build you what you need. You do what you want to. You just come to our side of town and we'll finance you. Well, I'd already known why I was here, and I kept trying to be nice to the guy, and he wouldn't stop. And he kind of got brash with me about it. And I said, sir, I've already been bought. I ain't for sale.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the end of lunch, which I ended up paying for. But sorry, he left. I'm like, oh, well, okay. But the church a lot of times has made some strange bedfellows.
Yeah.
But I will also say it's also produced some of the most amazing people on the planet. As frayed as we've been, as difficult as it has been, many of us have made it, and we're still making it. Mm-hmm. You make it out of the trap and get into the kingdom. And that's the critical thing for people, is to realize that the church is not a building with a cross on it. I've often said, if the Messiah was crucified in a electric chair, would you hang that on the front of your building? So anyway, I know this, that the Messiah doesn't really like to be reminded of his crucifixion. He'd rather us remind him every day of his resurrection. So, but yeah, but we're coming. We're coming. We're making it, and we're still stronger than we are weak.
Mm-hmm.
And just like a lot of global systems, religious systems, they're probably always going to be there, but they don't always have to be prosperous.
Yeah.
I mean, people have to make the break to say, I've got to know God for myself, and not just because somebody told me what to believe.
Mm-hmm.
That's God. If there's anything that we in the ministry are supposed to do, is to free people to think for themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, disagree with me, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're right or wrong. I don't care if I'm right or in many respects. We're on our way.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We sure are. Huzzah!
Well, the chat is very thankful for this talk, especially again talking about all the church stuff and tying it back to like a real relationship and like a kingdom relationship. Let me see.
That's nice to mark.
Yep. Okay. Amberlyn says so many need healing from church fundamentalism. Healing, nailed it, girl. Thank you, so refreshing. Mark says beautiful conversation. Thank you, Liz, Ava, Tim, and chat. Stay blessed. So I guess we're doing a good job, doing our job here. Gina says she lets talk. Okay.
Well, go and subscribe to Tim's channel, guys. Ava put it in the chat earlier. I'm not sure.
And as soon as
let me drop,
we'll put some new stuff up.
Yeah. Yeah, as soon as my house is back to normal, which we've got 2 more weeks till we're officially moved back in. So we're almost there. Almost there.
Yeah, let me drop it again.
And Chad.
Also,
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, also, if you're not subscribed to mine or Liz's channel and you're here hanging out, we see you. So come and subscribe. Don't be scared.
Yeah, please do that. That's important.
We see you.
We see you. Analytics.
And like the video. You know the drill.
Actually, majority of my. Yeah, like the video. Don't trip. Tim's channel. Okay, I'm like Chanel channel. I don't know why I couldn't spell for that second. Okay.
Chanel.
Tim's Chanel. Okay, there it is. Yeah, like y'all. We're on our way with good people. Cool. Oh, we got warm tears flowing over here. Okay, we're on our way with good people like y'all. Many thanks, Ava, Liz, and Tim. Much love and blessings from New Zealand. Thanks, Kiwi Key.
Thank you.
Also, yeah, description box has.
Oh, Nancy's here, Tim.
Yeah, after this, we'll add.
Nancy who?
Nancy Stoneman.
What's up, Nancy?
She's in our home group also.
Yeah, and she's recently
got. Welcome.
Yes, recently engaged.
Yeah,
congratulations.
Engaged and.
Did I meet Nancy?
Nancy and Jay. Yeah. Well, did you meet Kate?
Oh.
No, she didn't meet Kate.
Kate came today with her fiance.
What?
They got engaged today and came and told us.
Everybody's getting married.
Yeah, pretty cool.
I didn't even know she had a boyfriend.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, so they both came. Both the ladies came in sporting their diamonds.
Oh my goodness. Mine isn't even on anymore. I keep mine in my wallet.
Well, it won't get.
That's awesome.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
and
Yay.
Jason.
Yes, Nancy
Awesome.
and
Welcome.
Jason.
Thanks for dropping in. What was I going to say? Oh, when I go back in, I'll add Tim's channel into the description box. Also, Liz's channel, Etsy shop, her socials, her baby registry stuff.
You still got that on there?
Yeah, because just because you pop the baby out doesn't mean you don't still need stuff like diapers. Hello, y'all. It's in there. It's gonna stay in there. So if y'all are in the giving mood, her registries are down there. My stuff is in the description.
A baby.
Huh? What'd you say?
Yeah, she just popped a baby. See, if y'all were at my house, this would be my exit stage left. I'll go, okay.
Circle of life, Tim. Circle of life. You've had 3, right? You've seen 3 of them popped.
Yeah, the first one I almost passed out.
I've heard that from a lot of men.
Oh my God. Yeah, back then, this was like 1980. And we're having our first daughter when I've got one of these little Instamatic cameras.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to take pictures, and I'm like this with the camera, and all of a sudden I went, God, what the hell's going on? Is she gonna be all right?
Oh man.
It's like, God, let's hope so.
Yep. So I felt like I was watching Sigourney Weaver.
On what?
Sigourney
Alien?
Weaver.
Yeah. The movie. Yeah.
That's funny. But yeah. Lizzie.
Anyways, on that
Lizzie's-
note.
I know her stuff is in there. If y'all are feeling giving. And then my link tree with all of my stuff, affiliate links, emails for business inquiries, for real estate inquiries, bookings, Patreon, all of that. Yeah. So
Everything you need.
everything you need, we got you. We got you. You need clothes, we got you. You need health products, we got you. You need beautiful crystal jewelry, hey, we got you. We have you too. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for being here. And we will see you next week or on our next videos because we'll be on before them. But and we'll see you in other people's chats. But yeah, remember you are sovereign, powerful, worthy, and loved. Thank you both, wonderful co-hosts. We'll talk to y'all later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.